Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and as you can imagine, Pharaoh is going to be a bit of a hot topic for a while. The newest Total War game, which at the time of recording this video, I don't know if there's a release date or not just yet, but irrespective of that, there is a battle build that I've been able to play with, and there's a few cool things coming into effect for battles. Not campaign. I've not been able to try the campaign stuff just yet. But with that being said, let's check out some new features and some returning features from other games. And yeah, let's have a little bit of fun, shall we? So we'll start off with something quite cool. So you're going to have a general, obviously. This is Ramses, which is your main character for one of the Egyptian factions. And as you progress through the campaign, you're going to be able to switch out the bodyguards, meaning that, yes, this stays as a proper historical battle thing. Your bodyguard unit is going to be tailored by your wants and needs. So for example, you can have archers, chariots. We've only seen 3 options. I believe there are a few more, but these are pre-made battles, so we don't get to see anything else. However, this is something I'm looking forward to, and eventually I can play some campaign stuff, as, yeah, being able to customize my leader's actual bodyguard unit is going to allow me to customize my army even further. Hopefully this means that we're going to get a bunch of different options for all the playable factions, and yeah, I mean, this is a good thing. Here's a fun new feature that I was quite keen on trying out. So, dynamic weather is a thing during battles, meaning that the weather can change. It can start raining, there can be a sandstorm, it can get super hot, and they're going to be negatives, sometimes benefits, I imagine. I haven't seen one, but obviously these can't be the only ones there. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It'll affect you, it'll affect your enemy faction too. I've been told by a developer that this is RNG based, but it's also location based too. So if you're really deep into the desert, it's not going to rain. But if you're in the desert, there's going to be chances of sandstorms or heat waves, and these can tire out your troops. If there's a sandstorm, they can even lower some accuracy. If there's a thunderstorm, it can lower the accuracy, reload time, just a lot of negatives. And I think this is pretty cool. It's definitely something which should make battles a little bit more fun. I don't know if there's an option to turn this off, because I know some people might not like that, but I'm sure that this will probably see a mod for that, should people not like it. Obviously, I've only been able to play with these 3 battles, and these battles were admittedly a little too easy, but it was nice replaying them just to be able to see the dynamic weather take into effect. Alright, this one I know you're gonna like, stances. Now you might see this as Formations 2.0, as you can get your troops into formations, but a lot of these things work very differently. You get a lot of bonuses, sometimes some negatives, depending on what you're actually going for, and there's some pretty cool ones. Like for example, you can have your troops just advance recklessly, or you can have them fall back, called give way, and the units will actually keep facing the enemy but moving backwards. This means that yes, you can disengage from the enemy like this, and you can have them retreating but still being front-facing in case all your enemies are charging directly to you. I think this is a really interesting system, as yeah, I mean, who doesn't want this? It's more realistic terms of warfare, and it's pretty cool that Creative Assembly have been able to add this in. You can see the troops advancing, as you already saw on screen, and now you can see them just falling back. This is a pretty cool system that I imagine a lot of people who wanted more realistic types of warfare will be very into, and hopefully gets used in future Total War games too. So here's a cool one. Many units will act as intended, right? A sword and board unit will be a sword and board unit. However, some of them will have a special rule there known as versatile in weapons, and that means that they have alternative weapon styles. And this can actually vary. You see, if you have a spear and shield unit, they might just put the shield behind them and use the spear as a two-hander. Sometimes they've got a two-handed weapon, and they'll actually just put away their axe and shield for that, or their compassion shield, depending on the unit. And yeah, it's pretty cool. This means that the units will be versatile, which obviously is in the name, but this means that you can actually use your units for multiple things. Switch them up should you so need to. That means that even if they're lower tier units, they're still going to be relatively useful as the campaign goes forward. I can't wait to see how many units exactly have this type of thing. Obviously, we know that archers will naturally have a hand weapon, but this is your basic infantry. Hopefully this is there available for some cavalry too, but again, we're going to have to wait and see, as any units that you've been seeing in these videos are the units that we've just had available, and we know there's all the way up to tier 4, there might be even tier 5, but it's all a waiting game until they start doing more and more reveals. Here's something that might not be considered too important, but is actually quite important to me and a few others. Butt ladders are now gone. Your units will not just randomly spawn ladders when they get close to the walls. Now it's a proper siege weapon. Alongside, obviously, siege towers and your battering ram, you're going to have to take them up to the wall. Your units are going to have to push them there. They are flammable, keep that in mind, and we'll talk about flames in just a little bit. But it's great to see this back. Now you have a proper siege, which, let's be honest, it was very annoying in, say, for example, Warhammer, where units would just randomly spawn ladders. Obviously, this isn't a thing in older Total War titles, but in the newer case, yeah, we've had butt ladders, but they're gone for Pharaoh. In the topic of flammable stuff, if you remember Three Kingdoms, this was a very big thing, but fire arrows can actually cause some damage to the environment. As you can see here, some archers are trying to fire at me, but they can't really hit me, so it's bouncing off the wall and landing onto the grass. And yeah, that's going to set on fire. Units that pass through that eventually will get some damage too, and it's very, very important to note that siege weaponry, yes, siege weaponry can catch fire. So if you're trying to actually lay siege to something, yeah, make sure that your weaponry isn't there. Sometimes the AI did it. It's not been doing it in the last few battles I've been doing, so maybe there was a patch to the AI or something. But yeah, it's kind of important to note. Settlement destruction is back, and it's pretty fun. So yeah, you can go around the settlement and do some damage, destroy buildings, destroy pretty much anything around that area, and your enemy will start taking some debuffs, some pretty big debuffs like melee attack, melee defense, and even morale too, and fatigue. If you are very destructive, you can destroy this as much as you want. I don't know if that's going to affect anything in the campaign afterwards, as obviously I've not been able to try campaign yet, but this is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to test out the destructive capabilities myself too much, mostly because, well, you're only here to play as a defensive person. However, it can be seen in the next clip. So on our last note, we're going to talk about sieges. Keep in mind that I've only been able to play sieges defensively, not offensively, but I've been able to play over this map a few times, and we've found out some stuff. For example, it's not like Warhammer in certain things, though there are some parallels. Firstly, no building, so you don't build up towers, you don't build up any barricades and stuff. I do hope that some barricades will arrive as deployables maybe later on. This is still a very early build, of course, but there are 3 capture points, and these capture points will provide you with some morale bonuses. The temple itself does provide healing, which isn't really historical, is it? Well, healing in a spiritual sense, yes, but not physical healing. However, I think that's perfectly fine. If the enemy does take 2 locations, they will start to give you morale issues. But other than that, there's no build a tower, which I think is very, very important. It doesn't really feel like a Warhammer siege. It feels very much, yeah, Troy meets Three Kingdoms in a sense. This is why I'm saying I really, really hope that the deployables do come back. Just, you know, not like the Warhammer deployable style. As the clip has been playing, you've already been able to see some destruction around the city, which I think is kind of cool. It does add to the theming of it. It's just nice to see it, because obviously that is a lot of immersion, and the immersion is important for a Total War game. All in all, I'm actually quite happy with what I'm seeing. Again, this is an early build, and, you know, things will have to get fixed up as time progresses. And I will discuss any fears I have regarding siege battles in the siege battle video. I'm not sure if that video is already out already, but yeah, honestly, there's some pretty good settings here. I feel like they are expanding upon Troy and going back to the older stuff from older, proper, historical Total Wars and just pushing that out a little bit more. I'm feeling optimistic, but we're just going to have to wait until we see the campaign, because I am a campaign player over battles, so battles I can't really talk about this too much. Yeah, hopefully the campaign soon. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Start a bit of a discussion, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. There's going to be a lot of videos, just be prepared for the flurry.